Hi everyone, Karen Swain here. How are you all? Here we are heading up to the end of 2022 and the festive season. Big week coming up for people that celebrate Christmas, as I do, I suppose. In this country, we celebrate it as part of a cultural celebration. Interesting. Anyway, so I'm sitting here talking to you today because I had somebody coming on the show who had written some stuff that is really fascinating. I was really interested to explore it more with him. He wrote an article and he asked me to read it, a very long article, and I did. And I had said to him, I didn't agree with absolutely everything in the article, but, this is something we can discuss on the show. And he got really, really defensive and said, well, this isn't a great way to start the show with you saying you don't agree with what I'm doing, which is not what I actually said. I said I didn't agree with everything that was written in the article. And, as humans, we don't agree with everything that goes on in this world, right? Think about it. And anyway, and what I didn't agree with was the focus on the polarity, on the war, on the evil. There was so much focus on the bad over the good. And that, and I wanted to discuss this with him because he said that, in the higher realms, there's still this focus of polarity, which of course there is in many dimensions, but in the higher realms where we come from, spirit, we come from a realm of pure positive energy. Source is a realm of pure positive energy. And then we come into the denser polarized experiences, 3D, 4D, even parts of 5 and 6D, to experience polarity and separation in all its guises. And we create this so-called evil that we experience here on Earth. And I wanted to discuss this. I thought it was going to be a great, juicy discussion with him. But he got so defensive from that one tiny comment after I asked him how he'd been. It was great to see him. I hadn't seen him for ages. That he just stopped the interview, blocked me on Messenger, blocked me on Facebook, just got really defensive. And I sat here thinking, wow, isn't it interesting how people get so defensive when they believe you've said something that you haven't? Like, why do we get defensive? What is it about defensiveness? And one of my favorites, if you've watched my shows, you know that I love Byron Katie says, defense is the first act of war. When two people are discussing something, or two countries or two parties, and they're in disagreement, isn't it okay to be in disagreement? You believe one way, I believe the other. There's no war there. There's just a conversation of different points of view. And once you start to defend yourself, then that's a pushback, isn't it? She says defense is the first act of war. And when you don't defend your point of view and make the other wrong, there is no war, really. There is just 2 points of view. So as I experienced this defensiveness, I thought, wow, that would be a great discussion to talk, especially at this time of year. I know that many people are coming together with families, and especially within consciousness communities, spiritual communities, when you wake up to a new spiritual reality, you have a very different point of view about the world than maybe your family who hasn't awoken. And they can see you as crazy. And so many of my clients have different points of view than their family members on all sorts of topics. And they're ridiculed and shunned when they don't go along with the kind of mainstream narrative of how this world operates and who we are supposed to be as humans. Even people that, like have psychic abilities and speak to dead people like me, the mainstream narrative has been that that's not possible and you're crazy if you think you do, although our television programs are full of psychic mediums, aren't they? So it's becoming a bit more mainstream. But there's this time of year, we come together with people that maybe have a different point of view. Can we still have a loving interaction and maintain a different point of view in how we think this world operates? And live and let live, really. Let people create the reality they want to create. What I was thinking when I had read the article, that all this focus on war and evil and, the good versus the bad, you get to create what you focus on, right? So when you're focused on fighting the good fight and you're on the right side and then there's evil, then you're in this constant perpetual war, aren't you? Even if you think, like, every person that goes to war thinks they're on the right side. I remember listening to a woman who was a soldier in the American military, and she had come to that conclusion, had a bit of a spiritual awakening, and realized that the person she was fighting also believed in the righteousness of their cause. That we all think that we're on the right side, whatever you're fighting about, whatever you're arguing about. And so can we have difference of opinions personally and globally and still create a better world, still evolve into the next step in human evolution? It's a big topic, isn't it? It's a big topic to discuss as the world is changing so much. There's so much being revealed, disclosed. There's so much being disclosed. And what I see in my spiritual community and conscious community is, as the disclosure happens, you know, that fight the good fight, I'm on the right side, becomes even more exaggerated, even more accelerated, as people see the evil being disclosed, or the evil or the corruption, you know, we call it evil. If you look at the word evil, it's lived backwards, isn't it? And yeah, and then they want to fight for the rights, fight for their rights, fight for their freedom. So how do we evolve and change this world to a more unified, more loving, more peaceful, more fair world without getting involved in a war, without defending our point of view and being in a perpetual war? Because if we're lovers of peace and we're promoting peace in this world, in a world that is fraught with things that are not peaceful, if we're promoting peace, we can't be at war, can we? We can't be always fighting the good fight. So there has to be this allowing, to allow people to have their point of view and see that they too have the freedom and the ability to create any reality they want to create as a soul having a human experience while they're here having this human experience. And even if I disagree with it, that's their birthright, that they have that reality. I always think, you know, that this world that I'm involved in and all that I experience and witness here, I'm the creator of it, and I can create a beautiful, peaceful life, no matter how much corruption and horror is available to us, because I have the ability to choose how I think and feel. And that we eventually leave this world and, you know, return to love, which was the name of my first book. We return to love, and we can see all that we've lived, the polarization, the different points of view, the corruption. We can see all that we've lived, the brutal reality, the traumas, the tragedies, from a spiritual perspective, which has a totally different perspective than our human perspective that is caught up in the right, wrong, good, bad, the good and evil, the fight, the polarized perspective. So when you return to that unified perspective, you can see all of it from that point of view. But I like to say that we don't have to die to do that. We can actually be embodied and don the higher perspective, or the soul's perspective, or the higher self's perspective, or God's perspective, if you like, the higher realm's perspective, and see all that we live, the corruption, from an enlightened point of view. I think Esther Hicks says, what does she say? Seeing through the eyes of Source. That's what she says as I adjust my glasses. Seeing life through the eyes of Source. Can you see your life through the eyes of Source? Because what I see as I watch this world, this crazy world that we live in, unfolding, especially after the last few years, is the things that I don't agree with, the personality Karen doesn't agree with, because I see it as corrupt and wrong, is actually all a part of the evolution of this world. And what I've noticed after speaking to people for like 25 years, teachers and experiences, and both on the shows and as my clients and in courses and groups, is that that contrast that we experience here on Earth is a big part of our awakening process. Many people have a spiritual awakening through a traumatic event. So through, like we put out the book, The Awakened by Death, through a death event, or through an illness or a divorce or depression. And as we experience what we don't agree with or we don't want in our lives, we launch rockets of desires, don't we? We create desires for something else, something more. We wish to return to what we know is our truth, which is one of peace and love and joy. And so as we experience life and we don't feel peaceful and loving and joyous, there is this deep inner yearning for us to return to that. And if we can't find that peace, love, and joy in the material world, if the lover or the house or the things or the job or the notoriety or the likes or the clickbait, if that doesn't do it for us, then we have to look inside and find that inner joy, that inner wisdom, that is who we are as the extension of the source, as our higher self. And so that contrast that we experience in our world pushes us inward when we look for it outward and we can't find it. And, many people find that peace, love, and joy from who they are and what they do in the world. They might do a job that they love. They become, celebrated for their craft, as a writer or whatever it is that they do. And they change the minds and the world of people that they talk to. And still they reach these heights in the human experience. And I've seen so many people, actors, writers, poets, amazing people celebrated for what they do. And then they've experienced this great depression because, again, they're looking outside of themselves for the accolades, for life to bring them the love and the joy and the contentment and the peace. It's not going to do it, is it? This life was set up as a playground of polarity, as a contrasting environment for our soul, which comes from a realm of pure positive energy, to play and experience the contrast and experience the illusion of separation, separate to ourselves, separate to source, separate to love. It was created for that purpose. So if we can look at it through the eyes of source and see this world as that playground and be grateful for all of it, to be appreciative for the experience of the contrast that we live in this world, well, then we become masters of this world. Because when you stop resisting, when you stop pushing back, then you stop holding energy in place and you allow energy to evolve and grow and transform and expand. And I know that all of you who are listening to this message, because as I put up my personal messages on my platform, I see much fewer people listen to the fewer messages than they do to the shows. People love the shows, and that's fine. But the ones who are tuning into my messages, this is you. You are the light bearers. You are the enlightened ones. You are the ones that are here to live this message that I'm speaking, not to push back too much at what you disagree with. As the guides say through Paul Selig, when you can see the divine in what you look at transforms. So when you can look at something and see the divine choreography in place, then what you look at transforms. Your focus, your attention to it from a divine perspective is transformative, is hugely transformative, rather than looking at it from an egoic human perspective, rooted in separation, rooted in the fight, the good versus the evil, and see it bad or wrong, but see it from the divine perspective. You can transform this world. And I know that the people that are listening and watching this, you are the ones doing that. And there are a few of us that do it. There's not too many people that can, I should take that back. More and more people are awakening to this. Better. Being chastised by the mob. Better. There's not too many people. Let's create a different reality. There are many people that can do this, that can look at the horrors of our world and see it from a divine perspective, and thus transform the horrors into more unity and love. Yeah. So I want to say season's greeting to you all. Hope you are enjoying the festive season as we come to the close of 2022 and move into another year armed with the divine perspective, seeing life as divine choreography and seeing life through the eyes of source. And enjoy your time together with your friends and your family, or alone if you're alone, or your animals. Your children, divine the diverse and different perspectives that this world allows us to have, and enjoy all of it. And I don't think I've got another show booked for the end of the year. This was going to be the last show and I was looking forward to the conversation, but it didn't happen because of this defensiveness, as I said. And maybe I can find somebody else to speak to. But if not, I'll see you all next year. Big love. There's plenty of other shows to listen to. I've had some amazing people. I think I've done more shows this year than I've done in any other year. So go back and listen to some of the beautiful, amazing shows that we've had on this year. I'm sure all of you, well, many of you haven't watched every show. You'd be doing well if you did. And visit Jazz Maheen. Jazz Maheen was in the Inner Sanctum last week. She was just magnificent, absolutely wonderful. Have a look at conversation we just had with Jazz Maheen. And Jean-Charles Moyen was the last person I spoke with. Fascinating. I think his story is one of the most fascinating stories people I've spoken with. They just seem to get more and more fascinating the longer I do this. Keeps me doing it. Every time I think, no, I'm not going to do it anymore, I meet somebody like Jean-Charles and I go, oh my God, there are people out there like this. I have to keep doing it. And I'm sure there are many more people out there that are coming out and sharing their stories of their extraordinary experiences. Oh, I just love that show with Jean-Charles. He was beautiful. Frenchman. He did well. He English is not his first language and he was a bit worried about his accent, but he did really well. So check out the shows that we've done this year. And big love to all of you, and I'll see you soon. Thanks again for listening and watching. Love you all. Bye for now.